If you feel like you're losing the battle trying to manage your ADHD, especially if you were recently diagnosed or maybe late diagnosed, it is very possible that you have a need that you are failing to address in one of 4 key areas, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. And if that is the case for you, as it definitely was for me, then it's almost like we are trying to complete a puzzle that has a missing piece. We're never going to feel in control of our lives until we fill in that missing gap. For years, I felt like I was trying to build a house on a shaky foundation, which essentially was exactly what I was trying to do. And it wasn't until I started to figure out what my own missing puzzle pieces were that my life began to get a lot easier. So I want to go ahead and talk about the 4 pillars of ADHD management so you can see if there are any areas that you are neglecting. Because if so, making even the smallest changes can completely change your ADHD experience. Now, the first is self-acceptance. Believe it or not, this really is the cornerstone of ADHD management. It's about recognizing that our ADHD is part of who we are without defining our entire identity, and about learning to work with our tendencies instead of against them. We need to stop trying to force ourselves to fit in this neurotypical mold that doesn't work for us at all, and start embracing our own unique gifts and challenges. This is how we begin to develop a positive self-image again and start to build resilience. We can't just be down on ourselves all the time because our lives look different than other people, or constantly be upset because we struggle to do things in the same way as our friends or coworkers. Honestly, a lot of times we find better ways to do things because we're really creative and resourceful. We have to understand that ADHD does not make us any less capable. It just means that we have a different way of thinking and working, and there can certainly be benefits to that. When we allow ourselves to be who we are, that's when we really start to thrive. So stop judging yourself, because self-acceptance is everything. Now, the next big thing is self-understanding, and this involves learning about our own ADHD symptoms, triggers, and superpowers. We need to study ourselves and begin to figure ourselves out, because ADHD can present very differently for different people. So we need to get to the bottom of what makes us tick and what works for us and what doesn't work for us and why, because with this information, we can start to build a foundation for our lives that actually works. So we need to start observing ourselves more and paying more attention to our behavior and emotions and reactions to different experiences. And a lot of people that I work with like to keep this all in an actual journal, because they find that it helps them to keep track of everything, and it helps them to identify their triggers and their patterns and help them to remember the things that actually worked for them. And this is something that I definitely do, because I know if I don't write it down, I am definitely going to forget it. So just start paying more attention to all the things that help and all the things that make things more difficult for you, because the more insight we have, the better we're going to be able to tailor our own ADHD strategies. I also want to quickly mention here that I think it can be helpful to just learn more about ADHD in general, because when we have a better understanding about why we have these struggles that we do, it can also help us come up with more effective methods, because we know what we're trying to work around. And it's just really fascinating to learn more about how our brains work, because we really do have some pretty amazing brains. And this brings us right to the next pillar, which is systems and strategies. I think this one should be obvious, but I also think that most of us do not prioritize this enough, or even know where to start sometimes. So what we're really talking about here are the specific tools that we plan to use to manage our ADHD. We need to take everything that we learn about ourselves and transform them into systems and routines that can help us to function. This can be anything from using to-do lists or visual aids, breaking down tasks into smaller steps, setting up reward systems, habit stacking, setting reminders, or whatever else works for us personally. I have had the exact same morning routine for like 2 years, yet every day I still set the same 8 alarms to make sure that I accomplish every single step in the process, because I know if I don't do that, I always worry that I missed something. So it's all about knowing yourself and understanding yourself and what is going to relieve your anxiety and help you close some mental tabs, because what works for one person is not necessarily going to work for another person. Now, the fourth pillar is coping mechanisms. These are essential for navigating the many challenges that come with having ADHD and having an actually happy and balanced life. And again, this can vary from person to person, but it could be things like practicing mindfulness or meditation, or making sure you get enough exercise or spend time in nature, having enough alone time, engaging with your hobbies or passions, having healthy lifestyle habits like getting enough sleep, and maybe most importantly of all, having some kind of social support. It is just so helpful to have someone in our life that can provide encouragement and empathy and even practical assistance when we need it. And again, it can be anyone. It can be a friend, it can be a family member, it can be your therapist, it can be a support group. There are many, many different types of support groups that you can find. A lot of them are online. You don't even have to live near these people, but it can make the biggest difference in the world, because when we have this type of support, we understand that we are not alone, and it greatly helps to reduce our stress and anxiety, and it just makes it a lot easier to manage our ADHD symptoms. I also want to quickly say here that all 4 of these pillars truly are essential, even if you are taking prescribed medication, because they holistically contribute to our long-term success and wellness. Again, if we don't address all 4 of these key areas, we are always going to feel like there is a puzzle piece missing. So take some time today to consider if there are any of these areas that you are neglecting, and if you find it to be the case, then making even small, simple changes can make a huge difference. So as always, I truly hope that you found today's video to be helpful and validating. Please know that we are in this together and that it does get better. I am going to link down an entire ADHD support playlist in the description box in case you're looking for more strategies and support. But I would also love to hear what you have found to be the most helpful. So please let me know in the comments. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today, and I will see you in the next video.